Hello, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Banner and Backbone's Powerful Voices. Today is a special episode, and I am Nick Paro, co founder here at Banner and Backbone. And I wanted to bring on an expert, someone who's on the ground in Venezuela, and to really have a discussion um, with someone who knows best and who knows from a lived experience what is going on in Venezuela and to be able to talk about it from a very different perspective than my own and our own here in the US or or in Canada or wherever you're joining in from. And so I wanted to bring on part of continuation of my day of experts who have come on to talk and speak about geopolitical issues. We had Arturo Dominguez on just a little bit ago on Palantir. Is welcome to Powerful Voices, Elizabeth Raven. She's a university professor in Venezuela. And if any of you caught the Blue Amp Media special earlier today with Melissa Corrigan, she had both Elizabeth and Arturo on for a discussion around what's actually going on in Venezuela, what the geopolitics look like and feel like. And I wanted to continue those discussions with Elizabeth today because they're really important. And I want to boost Elizabeth and her voice and get um, her thoughts out there because they're really important. And she unfortunately caught video of things that happened in Caracas and in Venezuela, and she's now unfortunately been a victim, as well as so many in Venezuela, of U.S. aggression and imperialism. And we want to bring the truth to what's going on. So, Elizabeth, it's really good to have you. Thank you for joining me
Thank you.
today.
An
Um,
honor for me.
do you mind introducing yourself a little bit for however you feel comfortable of who you are and your background so we can get into our conversation today?
Okay. Well, I'm a lot of things, but mainly, or first, I am an architect, and my magister is in systems, information systems. Uh, I'm a professor at the university. I'm retired now. I was a professor for almost 30 years, and sometimes, of course, as every professor, a researcher. Now I'm doing things that I couldn't do when I had to work, for living. Producing videos about seismic response of buildings, something technical. And I'm, I'm just got into this Substack thing, not knowing that I was going to be here or anywhere like this. I was just looking for a place to talk. That was it. I didn't like X. Actually, I, were, I was blocked there, and I didn't like Facebook or Instagram. I don't like advertising, and so I just found out this. I didn't even know this existed. I don't even remember how I got here, but well, now here I am. And I've been, this has been like a long thing. We've been attacked by the United States in different ways for a long time. But then it got very strong, very difficult you know, to get used to. So that's why I decided I have to, get in this. I have to say what I know. I used to watch a lot, still do, your channels, and it infuriated me because there was. it was lie after lie, and every channel saying the same lie, because I understand that for you this is huge, this Trump thing. Oh, for us it's just worst, but all the presidents before were bad for us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's an opinion and a viewpoint that we don't ever really get in the US. Is we see ourselves always as exceptional and that
Mhm.
we're not doing anything wrong. If it's our person, we can't be doing things wrong, or it's harder to believe that we're doing certain things wrong. And yeah, US foreign policy, especially towards the other countries in the Americas, has always been very domination based and domineering.
Yeah.
Is we like our democracy, but nobody else's. And so it's interesting you talk about that. Can you talk about like how this is maybe the same but different, in a lot of ways for you, for like past experiences with American media or American presidents or American foreign policy towards Venezuela?
You mean
Obviously,
different than
this is
this
different
than
because we
before?
kidnapped someone.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay. That's like, yeah, too much. Okay. But the thing is that I think you've had a good thing for yourself. Okay. Yourselves are in a democracy, at least your concept of democracy. We can have a different one. So,
mhm,
and I relate to that because my family is from there. Yeah, most of my cousins most, I think all of my cousins from my mother's side are United States citizen, born there. No, uh, so I've been there for like many times. So I I like the United States. I like the people as soon as I am there. Okay, because it's like all your governments before this one, of course, have tried to make your lives better and respect democracy and separation of powers and all those things. But outside is another different story, absolutely different. We've been treated very badly ever. I am 66 years old, so I can talk about a lot of time. And I don't know any president of the United States that were like our partners, like we were equals. No, never. Okay, they stripped us of our resources. They paid us pennies for that, and the excuse was that they were building refineries or whatever. But then when those got very very old, yes, they were nationalized, but it was a trick. You know, they just didn't want to use old refineries. They already had the contracts, and it turned out that everything was the same, and they weren't responsible for the production. We were, because we already knew how to, manage the industry. But it was funny because now we did all the work. I mean, not now, then, now too, but then we did all the work, and the resources were ours, but they still were taking 80% of the revenues. That level,
yeah.
80%. They only paid like 11% taxes and 3% revenues. 3% revenues were for us, and we were doing all the job. That wasn't Chavez. When Chavez came, he just decided that uh, our industry was already nationalized, but our contracts were shit. So he said, okay, if you want to keep working with us, more than 50% is our representation. We take the decisions, and you cannot take more than 40% of the money. And some accepted and some didn't. And of course, the presidents didn't like it. So then they started like financing coups, helping the opposition, trying to bring here, you know, color springs, like they do or did in many other places. So here we are. I have to tell you, you can interrupt me whenever you want, because I talk, and then I go, you know,
No,
all the
I
way.
think it's great because, to be honest, the more context we can get on what it feels like just being a normal person out of Venezuela, and like seeing ourselves in the U.S. at least from an exterior lens, and actually getting to see inward and hear what others think about us is super important. Like, we have such a jaded view in the US of how people view us. We have a jaded view of how we view others, and I think it's really important to know what our government looks like to the rest of the world, and that way we can start confronting it here at home more boldly. Like, I want the results of conversations to be like, from this to be, folks in the chat, I understand it's going to be, some of this is hard to listen to and hard to hear and hard to break down our own internal biases about the US, but it's important to do so so that we can actually see countries like Venezuela as equals, because they're equal countries. Yes, they're not superpowers, but they are equally valid to have their own sovereignty. They are equally valid to make their own decisions without us without us saying you get to do it or you have to do it. And I want that leads me into my next question for you, Elizabeth. Is one of the things that Donald Trump has been saying over the last few days since this all happened, since we attacked Venezuela, we've killed at least 80 civilians,
Yeah,
and we kidnapped President Maduro and his wife. Um, is that there's been a buildup around this. And then afterwards, Trump announced that, um, sorry, I have fibro, so I lose myself sometimes. Um, is that we are now taking over on a corporate side of running Venezuela.
yeah,
However, Maduro's vice president just got sworn in as the new president, and
yeah. Today.
she
Mhm.
doesn't sound like she's taking much difference of a stance than Maduro did during any of, at least around oil and corporate interests in Venezuela. Can you talk about, from your perspective, what it means when you hear Donald Trump as the president of the United States saying, um, that we are going to take over and run Venezuela? What does that what does that feel to you? And then, as the second part of that is, how does that feel your government may respond now that you have a new president at the moment?
Okay. Uh, it's almost a joke for us, you know? It's very difficult to take that seriously, because unless he doesn't know who we are, which is probably what is happening. I probably this morning or yesterday that we've been lucky, because the counselors of all the presidents, not only him but the other ones too, have been the elite that was running the country here before Chavez. So They are not in Venezuela. They are in Miami, especially, but some Spain, some other places, and they never knew actually Venezuelans. They're rich people. They live in another world. They think they know, but they don't. But they don't. They've never have been hungry or homeless or poor. Never. Okay, so uh, here people is enraged about it, but make jokes about it too, because it's something. I think it was his biggest mistake, because he probably thought that Maduro was gone and this was going to be a disaster, and you know the government will break, and everyone will like exile, and it didn't happen, and we knew it wasn't going to happen, but I think he didn't. So I can't get how he will do that about running our country. Maybe that's the thought. Have no idea. Maybe he will negotiate some contracts. I'm sure that our vice president, now in charge of the presidency, and our Congress, because she can take decisions by herself, okay? I doubt that they are gonna accept unfair contracts, okay? So unless he is willing to accept something and then tell American people or U.S. citizens, I prefer that. Unless he tells there that, oh, he made something magnificent, and they will win like 99%. Uh, I don't know. He will do any negotiation, and I'm sure that the government here, they will say, okay, yes, 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 he's right. Okay, if it's not, and we are having the money we need, and the sanctions are, you know, not there anymore, and we can negotiate our oil. Who cares? He can say whatever he wants. For us, he's just a clown in general. I mean, for us, I have to make and insist here. Uh, we can divide Venezuela in three parts, okay? We have extremists from the left, we have extremists from the right, uh, very, very, very crazy people for me. And where Maria Corina Machado and Leopoldo Lopez and all of them are, and a lot of people in the middle. So I have to tell you, most of the people do not hate Maduro. Okay? I have to tell you again, do not hate Maduro. Maybe you don't love it, maybe they don't want. They just want to be better, even though if it's Maduro who does it. Okay? And we have, if I have to guess, like between 5 and 20% of the right hand people, right wing, okay, that they do hate Maduro.
Yeah.
Okay, that's clear, but not majority. Just that part. Many of them are outside Venezuela. So I think I don't know, but I think unless that was like the plan, he made a mistake saying what he said, because now this 70% or 75 or around it is unified with one goal: defending our country. That thing about being a colony, that's very important for us. Okay, we were a colony many years ago. centuries ago. We won't want to be again. We were and we didn't know. I
Yeah.
didn't know. I didn't know. Thanks to Chavez, I knew.
Yeah,
So
and
that's
once you get freedoms, it's very difficult to want them taken away,
yeah,
or to see something go backwards.
yeah,
And I think from what it sounds like to me too is we have gone, of all the things that we have done in the past, we have done some very terrible things throughout Venezuela, throughout South America, throughout Latin America in general, and the Central American areas. This tops it in recent memory, at least, because we took it to the next step. And it's, but it doesn't sound like, and this is something that I figured would happen too, is it doesn't sound like it's unifying the Venezuelans for the US, it's more unifying them for your own national identity, your own sovereignty, your own respect and dignity, um, and to not have your duly elected president, whether you like the person or not, just be kidnapped. Um, and
yeah,
I want, like, that's, to me, that's a very, the step that we took is really dangerous on a US level. Is because we kidnapped a world leader because we didn't like the policies that they were doing. And yes, I know we've done things like that before while at war, more so, but this is really different. We have no approvals in the US. There was no
yeah,
oversight for it.
yeah,
Um, and so it doesn't even sound like it's going to do in any way the intended goal, that at least that they talk about, is getting oil money or resources out of Venezuela. Is, what do you think your how do you feel, or what do you think your government may do as a response to all of this? Do you think that it will hardline more of your government towards, say, maybe a very defensive posture, to like a protectorate posture for your government and for the people? Or do you think they're going to try and, in good faith, maybe negotiate, to prevent more senseless attacks? Because right now we're in a bully posture, um, and there aren't a lot of good options for Venezuela, unfortunately.
no, yeah. Well, I think the government will try to negotiate. That's what they've been doing. You, there is like 34 votes stroke, you know, and we did nothing because that's not our problem. If that's rock, okay, it wasn't in Venezuela. One third of it was uh, Venezuelan votes, if you can say that. Uh, but we don't even know because you killed them. So there is no bodies to confirm who were there. And the only two survivors are one from Ecuador, one Colombian. So still not our problem. So we know we cannot win a war. I mean, a war like the one we had,
Yeah,
because the power is immensely bigger. You know, Iran is a power, and they couldn't. They couldn't stop the thing. They couldn't, and they are a power. So we know we can't. So and we don't want war. We've never, you know, after the independence war, we lost too many lives there. And it was justified because we were free from Spain. Okay, so that was important. But now we don't want a war. Nobody wants a war. So it will be negotiation for sure. But I don't know if that will be possible unless Trump is making a show and he actually will accept another conditions, because I'm sure the government won't accept that ruling the country from outside. I'm sure not only the government, people won't accept it. They are claiming when there are some rumors about no, because they just bought Delcy Rodriguez, and now she's gonna do gave everything up, and and people won't accept that. Okay, they don't believe it, but you know. So, but I don't know, because that guy's crazy. So
Yeah,
if if you are talking about a rational president, predictable, but everybody told him don't do this, and he did it.
yeah, yeah. And it's, to be honest, as I'm an army veteran. I went to Afghanistan. I've seen from a U.S. perspective of what war can look like and what it does look like and what it does to a region. I don't want that to happen in Venezuela in any way. We've seen the destruction of what war looks like and what it does. We also know that from history is that for every civilian you kill in an unintended or even intended death is you radicalize at least two people. And we don't want to be radicalizing Venezuela. I don't want to radicalize the Venezuelans against Americans. And in fact, I would love to bridge those gaps. Like Elizabeth and I having this discussion now is a way to bridge that gap and
Yeah,
to help prevent radicalization in Venezuela and in the US, because we have to be against these things together. Um, and so I wanted to get your thoughts on maybe that aspect of it on the radicalization side. Is what your thoughts are there? Are Do you fear that it's going to happen? Are Is that something that people are talking about or that you've experienced in your neighborhoods a little bit? Is there a growing resentment and hatred towards the US? Is there a radicalization that you are feeling or seeing in any way because of things that we're doing so aggressively?
well, yes, there is, but it's a different kind of radicalization that you can see in maybe Asia, or I don't know. It's kind of different because uh, at least in Venezuela, it's like I don't know how to explain this. It's been many years of people creating a conscience around something, learning about what we were, what we are, what we want to be. Even you can see things like you can go to a bus and common people are talking about politics and have a position and know about the United States doing this or that, about Noriega, about the United Nations, don't doing anything. And it's been like 20 years about this. And we have a different organization now. There are leaders everywhere. There are communities. We have the comunas and we have the consejos comunales, which are like below. And for example, here we have one in my neighborhood, which is mainly opposition, not not radical, but opposition anyway. And we have a place where professors come to make talks and teach people about politics, about geopolitics, about oil, about things. So it's more like a radicalization of the mind. It's not that we want to kill anyone, okay?
Yeah.
It's a different thing. It's not hate, you know? It's like, well, now we know why we want, who we are. Well, at least those who follow the revolution, which is still called Bolivarian Revolution. So it's different. I don't think so. We're still in the negotiation phase. We want we basically want to be left in peace. We don't want to see you. Okay, don't come here, don't meddle. You do your thing, we do our thing. We have different points of view of what is important. uh okay, for you, freedom of speech is something like huge. Well, for us it's more important freedom of housing or health care or free education. And that part is in the minds of the opposition too. It's like they want to change, or even the radicals, they want to change government. Oh, but I want my university free, okay? I still want my hospitals. Hey,
Yeah.
don't touch that.
Yeah, you aren't one of the things I know about countries like Venezuela is you aren't afraid of the word socialism and social policies and like social care for because your government actually provides a service back to you, which is what governments are supposed to do, is provide a service for the people. And healthcare and universal access are such
I lost you.
oh, are you
Okay, yeah. Now I
Yeah,
listen.
sorry, my government may have been a little, or my internet may be a little slow at points.
It's
Um,
okay.
is
Maybe
just,
mine.
uh,
So
yeah, and either way is like we we need to bridge the gaps and find what's unique, but also common amongst us that we all care about. Like Venezuelans, from the sound of it, at least from you, is you care about having the freedom to get an education, to be healthy, to eat well, to have housing that you can be happy in and rely on and not worry about being homeless. Well, most Americans care about those too. And
yeah,
we don't want to talk about what we actually are together in because we're so afraid in the US of anything that's different than our version of oppressive democracy, or capitalistic democracy where we don't take care of our people. And we see those things as bad. We've been made to see them as evil. Like universal health care is evil in the US because how
yeah,
dare we take care of our government, our people? But we go to these countries and we see countries around the world that we in the US call third world, which third world is a white supremacist Monroe Doctrine style term saying we're better than you here in the US. You're the third world. We're part of the first world. We're better than you.
yeah,
That's all that is there's no third world or first world countries in that way, especially not social democracies. Those are not third world nations. They take care of their citizens, they value them. And I think that's what we should be trying to work for, at least in my opinion. And I know there was like a question in the chat about what about various drug lords, such as like Trende Aragua. I don't think those are as big of problems as we have been made out to believe they are here in the US. I think they are international gangs that we do have to worry about. There's a pedophile sitting in the White House in the US, part of an international gang of thugs who are trying to take over the world. I don't care that Nicolas Maduro may have at one point possibly been part of a drug cartel. He's not actively killing his citizens in the way that the US is. He's
Yeah.
not
Anyway,
oppressing other
he
countries.
hasn't just, I had to say that he hasn't. Okay. We could
Like,
talk about it
I
in
think
other
we've
points,
been
but he
fed a
hasn't.
crock of lies here in the US in a lot of it. And we need to deconstruct those because I don't want to go into another Iran or Iraq or Afghanistan. Sorry, not Iran.
Yeah.
I don't want to go into another Gulf War of 20 years in the global war on terror. I don't want any of that. Hold on.
Yeah. And we have more things in common than, well, I can keep talking. We have more
Sorry about
things
that.
in
My kids
common
were all
that,
screaming in the
yeah, I know,
background.
I know. I was listening. We have more things in common than you think. And even now we're like in a second phase. Uh, at the beginning, and the second term of Chavez, he said, okay, if you vote for me, you vote for socialism. Okay. He didn't lie, because that's very easy. Okay. You say one thing and then do another one. He wasn't a socialist the first term. Nicholas was, but he wasn't. And then he said that. But it was a mistake, because we were like very uh consumist and very capitalist in some ways. And he just scared people to death. So it was like, you cannot push socialism,
Yeah.
because the minds take time to change, the paradigm. And so with Maduro, not at the beginning, but the last term, he just decided that we need to produce, we need to export, we need to, have relationships with, I mean, commercial relationships. And yes, people don't do business if they don't have, you know, money behind. If they are not doing a thing, they won't do it. So now we have some mixed thing, like I could say China, because I think thanks to them we are doing that, because they told our government, okay, that's a mistake, we made it, don't make it. You need people to be able to, you know, uh, dream, have businesses, and have money.
Yeah.
Only the only thing is you have to control how much money they can have, so you don't go to your stage in the United States. That is, corporations are ruling the country.
Yes.
Money is ruling the country. Those rich people who don't go to jail, even though being pedophiles, they are ruling the country. We don't want that. So, definitely. And we
I
don't
think,
want that, even though they were our corporations. So, we don't want the US corporations ruling our country. That's
yeah.
worst.
Yeah, and that's another thing too. Is it would be worse if U.S. country companies tried to rule Venezuela. It would be a bad
Yeah,
thing. It will be a
yeah,
bad thing if that's what ends up being the end result of this. Like, it would be bad because we're really bad at making good policy decisions that are pro human and pro dignity and pro values in the US. It's all about the true religion in the US is green and it's dollars, is how rich can you get. And
yeah,
I love, I know we can't force socialism on people um, quickly or force social systems on people all the time. That said, I think what's happening in the US is finally showing us that we are behind everybody else, that we are lagging in any social system. And the more that they cut them and the more that they hurt our people, citizens are going to question whether the government is lying to them on more things. And are we hearing
yeah,
the truth about other countries? And Are we hearing the truth about what's going on in Venezuela or how the people of Venezuela think? And from this conversation, it's pretty obvious that, again, it's all a crock of shit in the US on what is going on. And it has been for a long time. Um, and it's not something that we always hear about, but you said is it's spanned multiple presidencies. This is not a Trump alone US issue. This is a
No.
US issue, and it's worth us confronting, so that we don't have to be seen as either a laughing stock or an aggressive bully who just comes in and tries to take over countries. Because we don't want either of those. At least I don't as a US citizen. Um, and I want to be able to have conversations with Elizabeth where we're sharing like cultural ideas or discussing information security and IT related things and architecture and design and those things. Like, I'd much rather have conversations around that than why did we just kidnap the president of Elizabeth's country? Like, and how do they feel about that?
Yeah,
And
I know.
so I hope everyone's gotten something so far from this conversation today, too, um, and has learned something about Venezuela and Venezuelan people that you maybe didn't know before, um, and a view of the U.S. from the outside. And so, Elizabeth, what do you? I don't want. I don't. It would be a bad. That would be a bad question. Sorry. What do you feel from your side of how can I help? Like, how can I use what the platform that I have to help increase awareness for you or other creators that you know who are from Venezuela to help end this mindset of supremacy and expose the truth and like real Venezuelans and what it looks like to be from Venezuela and what do you have other thoughts on how we can continue to build relationships like this? I guess is a better question. Um,
Well, I think you're doing what I want you to do. Okay, this is what I want you to do. Uh, like multiplying what I say. I don't have the truth. It's like I am one person, but I represent many people here. And I think is I don't want this new era, could we call, in the United States, to be like, now you will hate yourself, you are so horrible. No, it's not about it. It's just you didn't know, you know you the propaganda was there for you not to know. Okay, or to not know, I don't know. Well, and it's good that now you know, because it's like, okay, now Trump is doing this to you, and you can see, oh, maybe he was doing this to other countries and we didn't know, and we weren't aware, and we thought we were very generous, we were helping them to have our democracy you know
yep.
I would like people to ask a Chinese person living there if it's horrible that they are not poor anymore. No, it's not. Okay. Yeah. And maybe there is not freedom of speech, which here we have. Actually, there, I don't know, I can say, because I have propaganda too about
Hmm.
China around. Okay. And but the thing is that now you can see that you can have businesses beside social help. And oh, it would be very good that you don't need the social help. Okay. But you have, probably before you didn't need that, and it was like, oh yeah, we're spending money on those poor lazy people. No, it's not poor lazy people. It's like how I usually told my students. It was like, uh, if you had $1, you could have then $2, okay? Because you make a business, make arepas, empanadas, and now you have $2. If you have nothing, you won't have nothing ever. So poor people need help, period. So for me, that's the thing. And we need to have basic services which are ours, because we don't want another United States boycotting that, and then we have to do whatever they want, because you know that can be. So, but I think I know this is a very bad phase for you, okay? I had never hate anybody in my whole life. I hate Trump, okay? Not now, before. I mean, the whole year.
Yeah.
I can see my cousin crying because what happened the January 6th. So, but now at least you know. Now you can change things. Before you weren't aware that you had a problem.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think it has opened up people's eyes in a lot of
Yeah.
ways and is continuing to open up people's eyes. And there's an old saying about the US is that after exhausting every other option, we will finally do the right thing. It's because we've been indoctrinated in the US that nothing should change unless it impacts us personally.
Yeah.
And what we don't see is that we are impacted personally because we are propagandized. We're propagandized to fear Venezuela. Like, I've
Yeah.
always been told growing up, not by my parents, not by, but by media and by everything that we read here in the US, is how evil or scary Venezuela is, or how many drug lords there are coming out of Venezuela, or any of those lies. It's white nationalist propaganda, it is
Yeah.
exceptionalism propaganda, and it's meant to make us fear and other normal people. Like,
Yeah.
you don't
Sometimes you
have
have
many
to.
differences than
Yeah.
me in a lot of ways.
Yeah. Sometimes you just have to make an exercise of logic. It's like, we have oil, we have gold, we have rare earth. Why do we need drugs? We haven't
Yeah,
need drugs ever. Okay, we won't choose an illegal business if we have so many legal ones.
yeah,
So that's not us. Just Trump's
yeah,
lies. Tren de Aragua was a gang here, a very dangerous one, and the government just, well, sorry, but they killed them, most of them, and the other ones just flown away. Maduro didn't told them go to the United States and destroy them. No, they just flown away because they didn't want to be dead, and they just went many places as good Venezuelans did too. And it's not a gang; it's like people here and there doing bad things.
yeah,
So, and that cartel de los soles, that doesn't exist either. It doesn't exist. So you cannot be the boss of a cartel that doesn't exist. It's like, it was an invention of the CIA,
yeah,
like 30 years ago. They wanted to flew drugs to the United States, supposedly to see where uh, the drug dealers were, and attract them. And it didn't work because our military said, okay, no, we don't want to do that. And then they did it some other places, okay, because that's not only, they didn't try here only, they tried
yeah,
everywhere. So,
yeah. And
uh, yeah, and that's just history, but people need to
but
read,
it's not
you know
history we're taught. Like, we're
Yeah.
not taught that history in the US.
No.
And which is one of the reasons I didn't really talk about, partially too, is I didn't try and bring up the drug gang piece in any way to you, because it all sounds more bullshit than I would want to believe about a country. Like, you just listed out a whole bunch of national exports that are worth, on a capitalist scale,
Yeah.
billions to trillions. Like, why would you need a drug trafficking ring, unless you're funded by the U.S., who is known to fund drug trafficking rings into the U.S. to do exactly what you said? Like, it's
Yeah. We
we do this to
actually,
ourselves.
yeah, we actually had before Chavez, we had some drug problems here, and it was because the DEA, they were here and they just took the drug. Nobody knew where it were. They didn't destroy it, and some of them was distributed in Venezuela because you can dominate a country if they are drugged. No, it's
Yes.
like if
Look
they
at the
can think,
U.S.
yeah. So, yeah, it's but for me, it's really difficult to understand how many people in the United States think that that's true. It doesn't
Yeah.
matter how you prove to them the thing. No, okay, but I think it's true. And
Yeah.
in statistics, that's worth something, you know. And the Venezuela is the immigration in the United States with a higher education, more than any other country of Latin America. Okay, because many people graduated from college with doctor degrees, master degrees, went there, you know, and then it turns out to be that we are criminals. So that's ridiculous.
Yeah, I the narrative does not match up to the reality of the situation. And one of the things I'm doing this year is being intentional, is very intentional about the people I talk to, the information that I try and get out for folks. And one of those intentional decisions I'm making is to talk to people like Elizabeth here, for everyone in our audience, so that we can break down these cultural divides. Like, we can break through the propaganda. The power of the internet is that we are closer than ever to
Yeah,
being a
yeah,
global citizenry that cares about each other and that views each other as equally valuable members of the global society without needing to dominate others. And we can shift that narrative by just having conversations like this. Like,
yes, I think so. I think that's, well, I can't think of anything else at this level. I would like for you to be more revolutionary so you're able to get Trump out of your country or in prison. Uh, I think I'm still not very hopeful about it. Just because the Congress is very important, and
yes.
they don't want to do a thing because corruption is legal in the United States.
Yep.
They are bought, and the lobbies are legal, and they don't want to lose that. I don't think so.
No. But we can, and on an individual level, these things are helpful for us. On a more national level, we need to take example from our friends in countries like Venezuela, and countries that we have either tried to dominate or have broken away from colonialism and imperialism on their own before. Is, how do we break away from our own imperialism so that we can have nice things too? Because, Elizabeth talked about a lot of nice things that the US doesn't have. Venezuela has social health care, has taxpayer funded and social health care systems. They've got education systems through college and university levels. They offer more housing assistance and food assistance than we would ever consider doing in this country. I want nice things like Venezuela has for its people. Like, I want Americans to demand those things, because that's what will change how we do things in America, is when we finally demand we deserve nice things like all these other people around the world who we've been told to demonize and other. Is the reason we're told to demonize and other them is because they have nicer things than us, and we should be afraid of those things. Well, we shouldn't. And it's not about voting Republican or Democrat. I
No.
I don't specifically advocate for a political party in the US, because both of them suck. Because corporate Democrats are fascist light, Republicans are fascist now, corporate Democrats are fascist later, and the Progressive Party is being shut down. So I don't really care about Republicans or Democrats. This is a US issue. This is people over country. It's just like in Venezuela and other countries that required time and change to get these nice things, these social systems that help their citizenry. It's going to take time in the US, but we have to actively confront it a lot. And we have to be actively out here spreading the similarities between ourselves and not the differences.
Yeah.
I don't want to, we need
Agree.
to stop the othering. We need to radically stop othering people to fight the radical othering that is happening. Um, and so maybe that's what I want to take away for people out of this is take this opportunity to follow Elizabeth and learn more um, about like what it means to be a normal person out of Venezuela. And I see we have someone else who's in the chat saying that they are from Venezuela and have relatives, talking about the health services that do not work, and education can be a mess. Um, and maybe there is a discussion into that. And
Well, yes, I what do you want if we don't, if we can have money because we cannot sell our things outside because the thing is seized in the water or stole, uh we cannot have a good system, you know? It's like we need money to maintain the system. And it's very easy to say, oh no, but hospitals are horrible. Oh no, but the teachers, they don't have good salaries, so it's a bad education. Okay, yeah, we now are in a very, very difficult situation. We're better, but we've been very bad for years. We we had to work. I mean, the country had this amount of money, and then it was this. And then with this, we had to maintain all the social services. I know I won't say that it's perfect, but I know my family uses it, and at least they can have a surgery. Okay, they have to take and buy the medicines and whatever they ask for, but they don't have to pay $80,000 for the surgery. Okay, so and I have a say that any education is better than no education. Okay, you can have something that's not perfectly working, but it will be better, I'm sure. And the thing is that, of course, it's better if you don't need the help. Okay, if you are thriving as a country economically, many people won't need the help, but there will be always people that need the help.
yeah,
Always.
yeah,
Poor
and not,
people, it's difficult for poor people to be not poor. You know,
yes,
I'm not poor. So my son will be better than me for sure. And he's making a PhD in Canada. he has a scholarship. Okay, no, I'm not paying that. But even even the IQ, you don't have a good IQ if you didn't eat when you were a child. Okay,
Yeah.
done. Period. Okay,
Yeah.
and somebody has to take care of that because they have the right to have a good life even though they are not intelligent, even though they didn't have money from their parents. And
Yeah.
who
And like,
do that? Only the state.
yeah. And even, and my, I'm glad that the question was asked in the chat too, is because it is important to highlight there are differences in perceptions on how the system works, on your experiences with the systems. I don't know anything about the systems in Venezuela specifically and how well they might be run or not run. I rely on the VA, so I understand what a social healthcare system can look like on both a good and bad day. That's run out of the U.S. And even on a bad day, it's better than what 98% of Americans have, because I don't go into medical bankruptcy. I have
Yeah,
access to education for my children, for in state tuitions. Like, I have a social service that so many Americans don't have. And even if it doesn't work perfectly, the fact that it's in place and it is trying to help is better than nothing. Like,
yeah,
we get the services we negotiate for, especially in a democracy. A democracy, you get the democracy you negotiate for. Um, and we just need to be um, more strong in our negotiations on what we truly want and desire, and we have to be willing to stand by them. And like, there's there's rampant corruption in the U.S. too, and money laundering in the U.S. So I don't want to say that Venezuela has a worse or better situation than we do on
yeah.
business
We have it
laundering.
too, of course.
It
Yeah,
happens. It happens everywhere. It's not a country specific problem. The U.S. probably has it even worse than Venezuela does because we've legalized it. We have legalized that corruption, like Elizabeth said, into corporate lobbying and lobbying for our government and tax write offs and buy offs. So I can't fault anybody in Venezuela if there are pop up businesses coming around for money laundering. It happens here all the time in the US. Ask Donald Trump, he's really good at it. He did it with real estate multiple times with Russian
yeah.
oligarchs. So
College.
again,
You know.
I'm more worried about the guy who's a pedophile running the country, who has a international criminal organization that funds him and provides him illicit money, than I am about the Venezuelan citizen who may be money doing a little bit of money laundering because maybe they need to put extra food on the table, or they there's a reason for it. And even if there isn't, hey, that's you, do you. But don't do it on a world scale. And then I'm just coming from the perspective of maybe the US needs to stop being so entitled about itself, and we need to take these perspectives like better systems, even if they're not perfect, or if they're failing, maybe because the US has sanctioned Venezuela in so many ways and has forced the economy to tank and has taken a lot of resources away from Venezuelans. Like, we have a part to play in that too. We cannot say that Venezuela is in the situation it is
Yeah, and
without
some
any external force. It's
yeah,
our
some
fault.
yeah, some part is not even directly that person who had that opinion. Maybe is thinking about the corruption in Venezuela. And yes, but let me tell you, when you are sanctioned and you cannot sell openly what you have, you need to go for what we call the green path. For us, that's you have to do whatever you can, and obviously it will be very obscure. You know, it's like the United States cannot know that we are selling this to this. So we need to find an intermediate person, so they sell it to them. And of course, this person will say, okay, but it's a risk for me because the United States is going to ban me if they know. So then you have to give me money. And we say, okay, we'll do it because we need the money, because the country needs the money. And of course, will be Venezuelans behind that. Okay. And they will say, okay, but then from the money that I give you, you will give me whatever, 20% or maybe more. And then there is a cycle of corruption that cannot be break because we nobody will be able to watch that. We have, we don't know, I know the I don't know the word in English. Contraloria. It was you when you have in the same government people who check that things with money are being doing are being done well. Okay.
Yeah,
In this case,
we have oversight and regulatory bodies that are supposed to
okay,
do
that
that.
one. And then so you cannot do that with a process that has to be hidden. So then we started to use cryptos. Okay, cryptos are the most anonymous thing that there is. Okay, so who will check that? Nobody can do it.
Yeah.
and and of course that, so it's part of the thing. There's one thing, I'm sorry that I'm talking so much, but there
Oh
is
no,
one thing.
wonderful.
Okay, there is one thing that we almost think about this thing, these sanctions and all this, not the last one but before. And it's that we were used to live from the oil. It's like everything was imported. We didn't do a thing, nothing, nada. Okay, everything was imported because we have so much money. We had that. Okay, and then we had nothing. And at the beginning, a lot of people died for diseases or hunger or whatever. But people started saying, okay, I can't wait. I'm gonna do my business. So people started making business, a small business, not so small. At the beginning, they weren't big. They even, the pandemic was good for us in that sense because people realized that they could make cakes and sell them, and they were having more money than the salary they had in the public service employment. Okay, so we started making our food. That was very important because now we produce more than 90% of the food we eat is our. you
That's
know we,
incredible.
we don't import it. It's here. Not only the farm food, but the processed food. Of course, we still have to import some things. Maybe sometimes we don't have the bags for the food, for the rice, or for the, you know, uh, corn or whatever. But now many people has his own little business, and we are growing. And the other thing is, as soon as Maduro just realized that something was wrong, said, okay, I'm not stopping with businesses anymore. We cannot make corn, we cannot make this or that because, okay, we're a government. We are not, people doing whatever. And then he just met with you know, the heads of the businesses, organizations, and said, okay, now we're going to help you. We'll give you credit and you will pay taxes. So, and you can put the price that you want to the. the things you sell, because you know the control of the price was a really bad thing here. It was like, okay, if I have to sell this at the price you want, I won't. I
Yeah.
won't. I will take that to other country and export it, and and that's it. So we didn't have food to eat at that time. That was very bad.
Well, food is a huge national security, and it's so important to be able to grow your own and manage your own and produce and refine. And the fact that Venezuela has become more self reliant is a good thing. And that it is still trying to be part of the global community. Like it's not shying away from trying to export and import, it's just empowering its own people to
Yeah,
also do some of those things. And maybe and maybe it's not in um, maybe it's in our best interests to finally leave Venezuela alone in the US and focus on ourselves. Like I think that's what
yeah,
we need to get in our heads here in the States is it's okay to focus on fixing ourselves rather than putting our problems on other people and then claiming it's their problems. Like we are the and it's not to make us shameful in the US. I don't want Americans to feel shame
no,
that
I don't
we
either.
have done bad things in the past or we're actively doing them now. I want Americans to feel empowered that we can do better. Elizabeth, you said, well, you just don't know. Like, how are you supposed to make a good decision if you don't know? And
Yeah.
or understand about Venezuelans if you don't know. And so I want to take this as a chance for people to say, let's learn. And now you know, now you can start learning more and interacting more and getting more involved with hearing stories from Elizabeth or from folks in the chat who, if you are also from Venezuela, please, I'd love to reach out and discuss how we can also get you onto a show to talk. Like, I want to invite normal folks to come on because you're experts just by being Venezuelan. Like, you're an expert on Venezuela in many ways because you are Venezuelan. You've lived a life that I never have, and I want to understand because the more we understand, the easier it is to get along. Like the more we understand each other, there's no reason to hate. Hate is taught. Hate is hard to maintain. It's easier to find commonality and the things that bind us together than it is to live fighting for things that drive us apart. Um, and I want to close out our conversation here with Elizabeth asking you a final question, a simple one of how can people support what you're doing? And how can people support getting, as you said, maybe not, or getting a perspective, I guess, of from Venezuela to get a perspective of life, of what it means to just be you. And so, how can people help you and find you and support what you're doing, and the the knowledge and information you are getting out?
Oh, well, it's difficult for me to answer that because I'm so new at this. So, okay, I could say if you think you know something and you're not sure, ask. I will answer. I try to answer, even though some are, like insulting or o sea, not wanting my information. I try. I won't try forever. If that's the case, I try once or twice and then I block because I need my time for people who wants to listen. Okay, but uh, I not necessarily know what you want to know. So I keep, like telling things or, putting pictures or videos and I'm just guessing. So It's like I watch CNN and I see a lie and I say, okay, I'm gonna say my version here because probably they will listen that one first. But that's still guessing. So I would say that ask. You want to know about something? I'm going to try to be, of course, like I've been doing it, proactive in the sense that I want to like explain how our health system works and how our elections work because I know there are a lot of, you know, preconceptions, usually bad. Uh, like those general topics, but I don't know what you want to know, actually.
No, I think that was a great answer. Is just ask. Is I'm going to put it out there is please subscribe and follow Elizabeth's work and what she's doing because it'll give you the way to be able to ask those questions and keep up with the things that she's putting out and ask in earnestness and honesty and to learn. That's if you're going to
Yeah,
ask.
yeah, ask on good faith. It's
Yeah,
not like I'm gonna ask you and then I will say, "Oh no, bad." It's not like you say, "Okay, can I? I maybe I don't have the reason," but then you have more information. You decide what to
yeah,
believe. Yeah,
yeah.
somebody called me a liar because I put some pictures of the attacks that where missiles went to the Institute of Venezuelan Scientific Research, and he said, "I'm lying. I'm not lying. It happened. I know
Yeah.
they didn't want to destroy that institute. They wanted to destroy the towers of communications, but they did, and it's not a lie. It's sorry, it's true. And I didn't take the pictures from the social network. No, my sister-in-law, she works there, so she sent the picture to me. So I want people to ask, but in good faith. Okay, just ask when you want to listen what I have to say. If you don't want to listen, actually, if you only want to destroy me, then or you think you can destroy me, that's very difficult. Don't do it.
Listen to learn, not just to hear, not just to respond.
Yeah.
And I think that's a great takeaway for all of us is listen to learn. I learned a lot today. Um, and I've seen a couple more than one chat saying or comment saying that they've learned something in our discussion today. So thank you so much, Elizabeth, for joining us. It's really important that we hear from voices like yours, and I'd love to continue speaking on another day and bring you on again, and hopefully we can just talk and get get your voice out there because there's so many important voices out there that are just normal folks who are taking up a call to protect their communities or to teach about their communities or to grow understanding. And I think Elizabeth is a great example of this, is helping us grow understanding and teaching about her community and her world, and respect that if you have questions for her. Come at her with good questions, with earnest and honest questions, and be polite and respectful so that you can learn, because that information is going to go so much further for yourself and for others around you if you're able to learn and break down hurtful stereotypes or hurtful and fake narratives, and go out and take some of this information and maybe challenge some of your own beliefs today. Um, and so, thank you, Elizabeth, for joining me for this really wonderful discussion. Thank you, everyone in Substack, for joining us. And for those who have joined us on either Twitch or YouTube, thank you also for joining us.
Thank you.
If you're in Substack, please hit that Chiron in the upper left hand corner to subscribe to Elizabeth and all of us, me and Banner and Backbone. It's a free subscribe. It's the easiest way to help get the message out for Elizabeth and for the work that she's doing. And so we can help build more understanding. So
Yeah.
thank you,
Thank
everyone.
you.
And
Thank you. I'm
Elizabeth,
sorry. I'm sorry for this bad light
oh
because
no,
I wasn't prepared. It's cloudy here. We do
no,
we do have lamps. It's just I'm not prepared for this. I don't have lights for this kind of
it's
thing.
it's okay. It's normal. That's what the beauty of Substack is. It's normal. It's natural. It's everyday people just coming from their home and talking and getting their voices out there. And I'm like I said, I'm really glad I got to speak with you today, Elizabeth.
Thank you.
Um, it's been
Thank
time
you.
coming, and I do hope to speak with you again as
Yeah, me
we
too.
continue to forge these relationships and build past these unhelpful and hurtful narratives around each other. So thanks again, everyone. Have a wonderful afternoon. Go support Elizabeth. Go support everyone in the communities and help build this place strong so that we can stop fascism and we can stop the rise of the authoritarian regime in the U.S. and we can make a more socially just and dignity filled society because that's what we need. So thanks again. Have a wonderful day, everyone. And I'll see y'all tomorrow or on another day soon for another Powerful Voices or just Banner and Backbone